interview me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, isn't that nice? Can I offer you something to drink? Tea?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Now, let me tell you a story that needs to be told. See, it's about my papa, Frank B. Butler. You know who he is?
No, ma'am.
Well, you recording this, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, this is my favorite part and why I am so proud of my papa and what he did for the black people in St. Augustine. You see, he built a beach we could use because black people weren't allowed to go on St. Augustine Beach. See, this all started when a woman came down to visit from New York, and she stayed at St. Augustine Beach. Now, her maid was black, and she took the children down to the beach. You know, they arrested that maid just for doing her job. Anyway, now see, that's when it got into Papa's mind about building a place for black children and grown folks to attend. But you see, that was a right that was restricted for many years due to Jim Crow laws that prohibited black folks from sharing a beach with white folks.
How did he do it?
Well, he borrowed his first piece of money from Mr. Frank Upchurch, and he used that money to purchase the first piece of the beach. After a while, he sold a few lots, and then he was able to buy the other piece. I believe this was 1925 or 26. Now, over time, he developed a residential subdivision, casino, motel, and beach resort for us. By 1948, at least 11 black-owned businesses were in the area, and Butler Beach was a thriving tourist attraction. He had buses coming in from all over Mississippi, Jacksonville, and Georgia. You see, my papa also encouraged blacks to vote. He set up voting booths at his real estate office.
I heard Butler Beach was all in the news in the 60s.
Oh. White people were mad because Butler Beach was in the middle of St. Augustine Beach and Crescent Beach. See, these were beaches for whites only, and they didn't want us anywhere near them. I mean, they didn't want nothing to do with us. It got so bad Martin Luther King came. He said that St. Augustine was the most segregated city in America, and he was prepared to fight segregation if it took him all summer. All summer.
Seriously?
So serious that they threw him in jail. You see, they call it the St. Augustine Civil Rights Movement because of all the meetings, rallies, and wait-ins. You know, on June 25th, 1964, 500 white people broke through police lines and attacked nearly 75 demonstrators during a wait-in. Wow. Well, see, this all led to the signing of the Civil Rights Act later in the year. So you see, my papa was involved in the movement that led to the signing of the Civil Rights Act.
You must be very proud.
Yeah, I'm proud. That's my papa, Frank Butler. See, my papa died in 73, but he won't be forgotten.
You still ain't got this grill going?
Don't worry about my grill.
Do you want something?
I got this. You take care of that potato salad.
Just frying up,
and
man.
them greens. I got some baby back ribs, man.
Oh, baby
yeah.
back. Okay.
They're gonna be tender too.
You want some of this potato salad?
Who made?
Can you believe all that happened in St. Augustine?
Black-eyed peas?
You know, North Central Florida has plenty of history, from the Rosewood Massacre to civil rights breakthroughs like Butler Beach.
Tragedies and triumphs in African American history. Who knows? Stuff that people don't know about and just don't associate with Florida.
The Sunshine State.
Y'all need to bring out the dominoes. Somebody want to play that Uno mess?
Yeah, I do. I want to play.
I bet you Frank Butler had so many problems trying to become a property owner back then.
For Folks probably challenged his offer to purchase.
Question where he got the money.
You know, a whole lot of homes and lands were taken away from black folks by tricky means like messing up the tax rolls and seizing their property.
Intimidating people to run from the community. Uno.
Who made these greens?
Glory did. You know there ain't no grocery stores around here. I had to pick up those cans from the corner store.
All kinds of absurd code violations.
What was that 1930s policy called? Redlining?
Yeah, redlining.
Hey folks, come on in and check out our brand new mortgages for colored folks. Our fine president, our angel, Mr. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is offering you a brand new deal. That's right. Think you can't afford a home? Well, come on in and we'll get you started.
Oh, I heard about this. I have always wanted to own a nice home on the west side of town.
The west side. Oh, no, she the west side. Let me help you find a home in the right neighborhood for you. Right here. That's where you're gonna go, honey. Right beside the interstate, or over here, downwind from the paper mill. That's where you're gonna go.
Well,
And so, congratulations on your new home.
Redlining and other Depression-era lending and housing programs set the stage for a century of racial and class inequality. They were put in motion by white lobbyists and policymakers who profited off of racial segregation and class inequality. Hey y'all, we're living out this legacy. Black neighborhoods to this day are treated differently. And because the houses were substandard from the get-go, they're falling apart.
Potholes don't get fixed.
Garbage trucks don't run on a good schedule.
Bus routes are few and far between.
And those areas enjoy more police surveillance.
A harass and coerce model.
Instead of protect and serve.
This policy discrimination maintains the economic segregation.
Economically segregated housing is essentially racial segregation in disguise.
In Gainesville, you see poverty endemic. Just look at East Gainesville compared to the West.
Gainesville has these huge pockets of poverty, and it's like people get stuck there on a generational basis.
Jobs are just as scarce as the grocery stores.
And don't even get me started on public transportation.
When you take a deeper look at the red line maps of East Jacksonville, you see that the generationally poor tend to have poorer health outcomes.
On my right, you see the original 1930s red line map of East Jacksonville. And on my left, you have the Florida Department of Health maps that show you the health outcomes in those areas. The maps are circled to show you the same red line areas. On the bottom, you see that that's the highest density of the black population in East Jacksonville. Above that, you see that those areas are the same areas that have the highest poverty rates. And on this map, you see that those same areas correspond to the highest rates of heart disease, diabetes. It also shows that those areas have higher rates of asthma, child neglect, and higher rates of hospitalizations that are preventable.
If you were born poor and black in this country, chances are you're going to stay poor.
In the richest country in the world, poverty should be a condition that people pass through temporarily, incidentally, and have a way out of. Oh, Uno out, I win.
Deal me in.
Now I'm about to get me some of this good food.
Me too.
This is how systemic repression limits the ability to accumulate wealth.
Well, yeah, because for most working class families, your only giant investment in life could be a home. Everything else, like a car, depreciates.
That's right.
You know, after World War II, the GI Bill made it possible for a whole lot of soldiers to get homes in good neighborhoods.
And we know what good neighborhood is code for.
White's neighborhood.
I'm trying to think of the name of that town.
Levittown?
Yeah, Levittown.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the future of city living, suburbia, where almost everyone gets their chance at the American dream.
Our World War II veterans deserve the best. Boys, for serving our country, you'll enjoy one fixed low monthly payment, whether you're renting or buying.
Ma'am, I have my credit check and GI funding. I like to settle down here with my wife and start a family.
I'm sorry, but you just have to move along. Whites only.
But everyone didn't just move along. William Daisy Myers was the first black family to make it into Levittown, Pennsylvania in 1957.
William was an engineer, and Daisy had 2 master's degrees. They had the credits and the money.
But that didn't stop us whites from trying to push them out. We burned crosses, hung the Confederate flag, threw stones at their houses, and rioted in front of their homes for 2 weeks before state police intervened.
No, I don't do no extra slide now. No, I'm serious. I don't know how to do no extra slide. Okay.
Do that wind up.
Oh, we gotta start with it. Oh, okay.
Go right into that drill, y'all.
I can't breathe.
Stan, are you okay?
I can't breathe.
Guys!
I can't breathe.
Oh, we gotta get him to the hospital.
Someone call an
I
ambulance.
can't afford no damn ambulance.
I'll go get the car then.
Okay, we're taking you.
I'll be all right. Just let me rest.
If we don't take you, you might as well have your last electric slide.
I'll be all right.
Stan, you need a doctor.
I don't trust them doctors. My daddy went to the hospital. He never came back out.
Stan!
Now, Marion County is not the Marion County it used to be.
Sure ain't.
No, Marion County was a progressive county for black folks. You know, in Ocala, we didn't have to mingle with the white section of town.
We was colored at that time.
Sure
we was
was.
colored
And
people.
you know, since we're talking about it, let me tell you, I have been 4 or 5 different things in my lifetime. I've been a Negro. I've been black. But one thing I am definitely and truthfully, I'm colored.
Even though, of course, they use it derogatorily.
I'm still colored, and I'm always gonna be colored. But nowadays, it's this Afro-American that got me being now.
Ain't nobody in my family I can trace back to no Africa.
Sure ain't.
Now, somebody somewhere along the line, way back when, came from Africa. And because my skin is brown, they're gonna say my people had to come from Africa. But what if I come from one of them Hawaiian Islands or Tahiti or something like
Because
that?
they brown skin too, you know.
Anyways, like I was saying, people just don't know.
They don't know it.
Y'all
no.
hush now, I can't say what I'm trying to say.
Go on then.
Fine by me.
Now in Marion County, everything we ever wanted was in the colored section of town. I mean, all the businesses, right? Even had that movie house, the Roxy Theater up
Yeah,
there
I
on
remember that,
Broadway.
yes.
See, we didn't have to go to the white folks' movie houses like the Marion, because when you go to the white folks' movie theater, oh, they'd make us walk up that fire escape and sit in the balcony. So we did not go there.
We went to the Roxy.
That's right, the
Yes.
Now on Saturdays,
You know when I was going to school there, they had a colored bank.
Owned by colored people.
On the corner of Broadway and Magnolia Street.
Colored businesses all up and down Broadway.
Yes,
but
it
on
was.
Saturdays,
You know, hold on now. You know I don't know another colored bank in the state of Florida. But Ocala had a bank, a colored bank.
Black-owned businesses all up and down
Yes, it
Broadway.
was.
on
Yes, it
Saturdays, you could find everybody shopping up on Broadway.
Yeah, and all the colored people in Marion County knew each other.
Everybody knew everybody.
Yes.
Y'all done? As I was saying, not just the whole county, but people from Ocala and everybody would be coming into town. I mean, everybody would be up there on Broadway. I am not joking.
All up in the middle of the street having a good time.
Yeah, and Gainesville had it going on too. Then we would go up on the Bricks on 5th Avenue and Pleasant Street. That was the place to be.
Seminary Lane.
Remember Sarah Mike Knight's place, Mom's Kitchen in Wabash Hall?
And they had the Rose Theater. I remember going there as a child. It's not like that anymore.
No, sure ain't.
Nobody knows anybody anymore because it's not the same.
Nope.
Colored folk done changed.
Well, hell, I know where the white folks ain't changed and everything's still the same. Rosewood.
Now, before y'all came here to Marion County, how was it out there in Rosewood?
Lord.
We had some pretty rough times down there.
You know, the history, it repeats itself in Rosewood.
Well, now, what you mean by history repeats itself? I mean, everybody knows what it means, but what do you mean by it?
In 1923, when all the commotion started in Rosewood, when they started chasing all the people of color away.
The Rosewood Massacre.
The only first people of color to move back into Rosewood after that was Chase started in 2003, 7 days before Christmas.
The 18th of December, 2003. I remember it because it was my grandbaby's
That's
birthday.
right. You see, in 1977, I talked to Jim King about buying some land. I was looking for about 5 acres where raise some hogs or some chickens where I won't be bothering nobody. Hell, he took me up to Rosewood. Now, I ain't know nothing about no Rosewood.
Never even heard of the place.
So we went up there and we came in. Not the road I usually take to get to his house, but it was another road to come in from the back way. He brought me in there, and we went in on both sides of the road, but nothing but palmetto trees.
And palmetto palms, they're beautiful.
Yeah, 40 acres of palmetto trees.
40 acres at $400 an acre.
Yes.
I said, no, not son. No. All I need is 5 acres.
But he looked at it. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna buy it. But we get to his office and I say, about them 40 acres, will you take 300 acres for it? He said, no, I can't do that.
Oh, but Mr. Kane came back and he said, can you give me $500 down?
I had $3,500 in my pocket. So I said, will you take a check, an out-of-state check? So I wrote him a $500 check on the Bank of Washington, D.C. for them 40 acres.
In Rosewood.
That's right.
Not knowing.
Not knowing nothing at all.
Not knowing. You heard the saying 40 acres?
40 acres in a mule?
That's right. 40 acres and a mule.
In Rosewood.
Yes, I did. I had 40 acres and a mule. But what I found out was the property I bought once belonged to colored people.
The colored people ran away to avoid the massacre and all?
No, they left all that property.
All that property. See, them rich white people up there in Chiefland bought all that land down there. See, I found all that out as the years went by. Now, that's how I got the road. Now, I said all that to say what I said.
Get to the point, Daddy. Get to the point.
December 18th, 2003.
7 days before Christmas.
My grandbaby's birthday.
My brick home decided to catch fire and destroy itself.
Sure did.
Completely destroy itself. I mean, we had nothing left. I had nothing left on my back with the clothes on my back. Everything gone, material and everything. Even the money we had in the house burned up. 7 days before Christmas.
Get out of town.
We had to.
That's right, we had to. Because I wanted to rebuild my home. And Levy County refused to give me a permit to rebuild my house, my own land. And that's why I say history repeats itself. See, all this time done gone by. We done went from colored to black. But ain't too much really changed, except what they calling us.
Good evening, Deanna Charles, BLM News Network, reporting to you live from the heart of Florida. Today, in one of the less desirable areas of town, a man collapsed while doing the electric slide at a family cookout. This backyard boogie, which started with fun and games, ended with the man hospitalized and his friends deeply distressed due to what the community suspects is a case of the environmental hazards of living in a black neighborhood. The man, known by friends as Stan the Poetry Man, was driven to the hospital by partygoers and pacified by ER staff, who weren't sure if Stan's pain was even real or if he qualified for treatment. Staffers claimed that Stan's insurance was initially declined because the money for his health care was being used to build a wall. Doctors say that genetics, asthma, diabetes complications, extra weight, lack of exercise, and poor diet were the cause of his health troubles, not his environment. Community members are speaking out.
Genetics? I didn't even get asthma till I moved into this neighborhood. Hell, half the kids on our street have asthma.
Extra weight? Stan the Poetry Man ain't even big. Take a look around. What do you see, huh? Definitely nothing to encourage you to get up and take a walk.
Diabetes complication. Folks around here can't afford that. Just gotta watch what you eat, you know. But tell me this, where are we supposed to go grocery shopping? Do you see a Publix? Winn-Dixie? No, we living in a food desert. All we got is that McDonald's and a couple liquor stores. Man, how are people supposed to change their diets when they ain't got access to fresh food? We know what's going on.
When asked to comment about the health disparities between brown and white communities, city officials declined to make a coherent statement.
Bum 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 bum. We are in the strategic planning process. It won't be long before these blighted neighborhoods become good neighborhoods.
Did he just say good neighborhoods?
White neighborhoods. Yep, don't think we don't realize that none of them live around here. Oh, we surely notice.
Doctors say that Stan the Poetry Man is expected to make a full recovery, so long as he manages his diabetes. Even though Stan was very weak, we had a chance to speak to him directly.
Yeah, they only pay for 40% of my hospital bill. I don't know how I'm going to pay for that now, but I'm doing the best I can, you know.
When asked to comment about environmental racism, Stan said,
That's that millennial crazy talk. I'm just out here trying to live my best life. I ain't going back and forth with you reporters.
Let's keep Stan deep in our thoughts and prayers. In our next segment, exciting new research shows that stress and anxiety may actually be passed to offspring genetically. Standing with Stan the Poetry Man, this is your lead correspondent, Deanna Charles, exposing racist public policies in a city near you. Back to you, Tian.
Hey, I'm all right. I'm gonna be just fine.
Welcome back, Stan.
Yeah.
Go for it. Connect 4.
Hey, I got next.
Hey, y'all need to bring out the spades or something. Nobody wanna play that kind of mess.
I do. Come on, let's play.
Hold on. We need to introduce ourselves.
To who?
We know each other.
To them.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I identify as African American.
Hello, I'm Stan. I'm a black man.
I'm Nikayla, and I'm African American.
I'm Brittney, and I'm mixed.
I'm Darius, and I'm black.
You know, I started saying black a lot more often than I say African American after I met this white woman with this strange accent. So I asked her, I said, where you from?
Guess.
I mean, I went all over Europe. I named every country I could think of. Germany,
No.
Poland,
No.
France,
No.
Finland,
No.
Czechoslovakia,
No.
Greece.
No.
I said, okay, you got me. Where you from?
I'm from North Africa. Algeria. I'm African American.
I said, damn, yes you are. So that's why I say black. So Brittney, what are you all mixed with?
Why does it matter?
I'm just asking. You say you mixed, right?
Look, actually, I just say black. But basically, I'm Native American and black. My mom is this curvy, brown-skinned black woman, and my daddy was this fine, light-skinned man with all this curly hair. My mama saw my daddy, and she was like, ooh, he gonna make some pretty babies. I'ma marry him.
You wasn't lying.
So I grew up identifying as a black woman. That was my life. I was 100% one of those kids that would go up to the mixed-looking kids and be like,
What are you? You don't look black.
you ain't all the way black.
Yeah, you a light bright, and you got all that funny hair.
Yeah, you ain't black.
They was too light to kick it with the black kids, too dark to kick it with the white kids. And I didn't think of that as mean or that it might bring up any complex identity issues. I was just a curious kid. But then I started spending more time with my paternal grandmother, and I found out that she's Native American and Portuguese. And I was like, dang, I'm mixed too.
So basically, you identify with whatever the police say when they stop you.
That's not funny, Stan.
So you're saying the one-drop rule has proliferated into now. So what if she wants to say she's mixed? Race is just a construct anyway.
Only 0.1% of the genome accounts for the differences we call race.
Look, we get trained to pigeonhole people into something so early, I can identify however I want to. Tiger Woods went through something similar when he was trying to say that he wasn't just black, but the black community will say, nah, bruh, you black. Everybody always want to tell somebody else what they are. Culturally, I'm black. Always have been, always will be, but when people question my actual ethnicity, I say mixed.
You know, black folks will jump on anyone who identifies as other if they appear to be black.
You just claiming to be mixed because you don't want to be black.
You just don't want to be black.
Yeah, you don't want to be
Yeah,
black.
you don't want to be black.
What are you
You don't want to be black. You don't want to be black.
I am black. I'm Native American, Portuguese, and black. Don't shoot. You know, the color of people's skin was the primary way I learned to describe people.
Yeah, me too. I would always hear grown-ups say stuff like the dark-skinned man that lives on the corner, or the white man that owns the grocery store, or he was tall and brown-skinned.
It's crazy because in European countries, well, almost everywhere else, people identify with their country.
Yeah, it's about citizenship.
Yeah, but here it's I'm black, I'm white, I'm multiracial.
Aren't your values based on where you're from, like whatever your nationality is?
Yeah, that's how we say African American.
That's why y'all saying it. But see, there's history in the black community. We always want to be anything other than African.
Well, yeah, because African and blackness has had such a stigma.
That's because there's shame. We have consistently been portrayed in shameful ways, first in minstrel shows and in cartoons, and now in the media. If you actively deny being black, you are denying ownership of that shame. But the negative portrayals of blackness are out of our control.
We don't want to and shouldn't have to accept these stereotypes given to us all willy-nilly by groups with racist and biased beliefs. I am so proud to be black.
Yeah, me too, man. I don't feel any shame about that.
That's
you feel
right.
me?
Wait, Darius, hand me the ball. All this talk about stereotypes, I gotta get something off my chest. Okay. Yes, this is my natural hair, and no, I don't shampoo it every day.
Give me that ball. I got something too. Yes, I was raised with both my parents.
Okay, all right, over here. Yes, I can take a shower without shampooing my hair. And no, you can't touch it.
Oh, wow. I'm articulate and well-spoken. So are you.
Unfortunately, these racist stereotypes that have been perpetuated since slavery did not only take root in white minds. That's why I just shake my head at all this Native American talk amongst our community.
You talking about all the black folks claiming they got Native American blood in them, right?
Excuse me?
No offense, Britt, but that was really prevalent in my family. And then some of us did Ancestry.com, and we realized we ain't got a nary drop of nothing. We're from West Africa. We're from the Eastern Coast. So all this talk about race as a construct just leads me to an even bigger question. What are we going to be calling white in 10 years?
It seems like the definition of white and the people included in that whiteness has expanded.
Yeah, because when the Irish first got here, they sure weren't considered white.
Exactly.
They graduated.
There is truly an irrational fear of whiteness disappearing. So they just start letting anybody with white skin in the club.
Click.
Are you feeling undermelanated?
Does affirmative action feel like reverse discrimination?
Does the Black Lives Matter movement infuriate you?
Then welcome to Club Caucasoid, where all lives matter.
Because all lives here are white.
And don't worry, there's plenty of sunblock for the entire family.
Click.
Prejudice and self-separation became virulent racism in the Middle Ages when Europeans who learned a lot from the Moors went around the world and noticed there seemed to be many more people who didn't look European.
Let's not forget that those explorers tended to explore the women everywhere they went, and those babies did not look European.
See, they thought the whiteness would disappear. But now we know genetics. If a white woman and a black man get together to make a baby, nothing has disappeared. Phenotype, the genes you can see, is all a part of genotype, all of the genes. Everything is in there. There's no disappearing, bruh.
So you're saying it's appearance and not race that's the basis of the hatred?
Yep, differences in skin color.
It's like if it ain't white, it ain't right.
And if it's brown, you ain't down.
Man, anything brown is considered less than, but what's the motive behind this thinking?
Behind racism, it was an economic order that became the social order.
What?
Shall we?
Shall we? The economy in the South was booming because of slavery, so slavers had to find creative ways to defend the moral soundness of the slave trade.
We're saying it was all about the Benjamins.
Jeb, Keeping these people like this doesn't seem like the Christian thing to do. I don't think we should keep these slaves.
Darling, these Africans are savages, barbarians, with no civility about themselves. We are helping them in the most Christian way possible. We are giving them the salvation of Jesus Christ.
Oh, you are so right. Let's have Junior's wet nurse Sarah baptized right away. They all listen to her, and when they find the Lord, they will learn to become docile, obedient workers.
Yes, dear. Hold a Bible study, and then they will learn that even the Bible says that they are destined to serve us.
Even though Jeb knew his wife was right, he couldn't admit it. Slavers weren't going to let their pockets suffer due to a silly moral discrepancy. All was well on the plantations for a while, but as the colonies started to grow, pressure started mounting for the abolition of slavery. England was done with the slave trade and thought that the colonies should be as well, so more sophisticated, racially based reasons were created to keep slavery from being abolished.
We ain't stopping nothing. These black Africans, hell, they ain't even human like us. They come from them apes and them chimpanzees.
Daddy, Sam done run away again. We done caught him, but this time he was hiding in the shack with some people in town.
Well, I'll be. Them poor white trash trying to save my nigger. Well, we ought to just, you and me, go show them what a good nigger whipping looks like in the middle of town. Just in case one of those poor white trash nigger lovers want to be a hero.
There's more. There was a woman with the mulatto baby when we found him.
What? We'll have to string old Sammy up. Teach him and them other niggers to keep they monkey paws off our precious white women.
Daddy, no. We grew up together. His mama nursed me.
You do as I say, boy.
Daddy, no, he's just son and he's my brother. Everyone knows the truth.
You a liar. You a liar, and I bet not never hear you say that again. Ain't no nigger, no kin of mine. Now, unless you want to quit being my son, you better cut out all this madness and do as I say. Cause today, people's gonna pay.
You're gonna do it yourself then.
Oh no, Junior. It's time you growed up, baby boy. It's like killing flies. You know the good Lord put them here for a reason, but you ain't thinking about that when they buzz around you, pissing you off, and flying away, and coming back again, and smash it, and you feel better.
Daddy, no. This isn't fair. It's the worst thing that could happen. It's just not fair.
Life isn't fair, Junior. Life isn't fair. Hell, now go on get to it now. Junior, you're wrong. This ain't the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen is, hell, you could be black.
The elites and the slave owners used to tell the poor, illiterate whites that at least they were better than the slaves.
They imposed harsh punishments on servants who had sex, revolted, or escaped with Africans.
That created separation and a hierarchy between both groups of oppressed people. And just like that, slavery as an economic function became a social order of racist beliefs.
And now that the damage is done, there is no economic reason for anyone to turn that back except for black folks themselves. Let's keep it real, y'all. People who have been trying to hold you back aren't gonna all of a sudden start rooting for your progress.
Yeah, the historic web of ways that this country has benefited from racist beliefs to enact racist laws and barriers to black uprising is not a bond that African Americans can simply shake off.
I hear you.
That's exactly how you get folks to vote against their own best interests based on racial prejudice. That's the Southern strategy.
I like to think that kind of racism is outdated.
What? I'm feeling resurgence of that kind of racism right now, aren't you?
I mean, yes, but the new racism is subtle. It's under the surface. I like to think that most white people today think that KKK white supremacy is a joke. It's a thing of the past.
Really?
Come on.
Don't you think that President Trump,
Who calls himself a nationalist.
Won the presidency by convincing a mass of people that aren't rich.
Or elite.
of the same things that slave owners did back then?
It was more to it than that. You have to admit, President Trump's campaign was a brilliant feat of social engineering.
Yeah, but he convinced a whole bunch of white nationalists and other crazies that it's okay to be openly racist.
African Americans have been enduring this type of treatment for centuries. It's mentally and emotionally taxing.
We have to get to the polls. We have to honor our ancestors and freedom fighters and civil rights leaders and anybody else who's ever been pro-black and down for the revolution. That's the only way their blood, sweat, and tears won't have been shed in vain. We have to vote.
We have to vote.
Well, St. Augustine to me was a very nice town to live in.
I lived on the west side of town, and Audrey lived on the north.
You see, the SCLC was always on the lookout for localities with particularly harsh regimes, cities that were oppressive beyond the ordinary limits of Southern society.
I had decided to move down to St. Augustine to open up a dental practice. And the young kids came to me and asked would I consider being the advisor to the NAACP Youth Council. Naturally, I had no reason not to, so I said yes, I would.
Washington Street was our main street that had all the black businesses on it. I had seen the young people gathering outside the St. Paul's AME church down the street from me, and I thought, I'm gonna go down there and see what they're doing.
Well, things started for me when I asked my mother permission to go and participate, and she, of course, said yes. So I went every day over to my sister's house, and that's how I got hooked up with them.
But all we were doing was just gathering. We didn't start off picketing or demonstrating. We would just sit around and talk about what it was we wanted to do, you know?
I guess we was just tired of going with the signs. We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to just go in, sit down, and ask for service.
Dr. Haling, he was our advisor, our youth advisor, and he just motivated us to want to go out and make a difference. We had realized that it was time to do something, so a group of us decided that we were going to go downtown for a sit-in.
But the NAACP feels that they can't support a fully fledged movement down in St. Augustine. So for the time being, we don't have support from a national organization.
I guess the local NAACP wanted a little more time, but for us it was like we just need to go, sit in, and ask for service. We were determined not to let anybody put a damper on our activities, regardless to whether he gave us his permission to do it. Dr. Haling still came and stuck by us.
Now we've decided to reach out to Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, to see if they can help us out.
So we sought out St. Augustine, or to be more precise, St. Augustine sought out us.
So we went down to Woolworth's lunch counter and asked to be served.
We don't serve niggers here. You need to leave or be arrested.
But we continued sitting at that counter.
We was unlawful guests.
We were the undesirable guests.
We were trespassing. And if we didn't leave, we'd be carried off to jail.
And that's what happened.
Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on talking, keep on walking, marching to the freedom land.
When we were first brought down to the jail, they didn't have us in a cell yet, so all 16 of us was just singing. All of us just singing and clapping.
We had no sense of fear because we were all together as a group.
At first it was fun to us because we knew we were finna leave.
But that didn't happen.
We went to court the next morning and, well, that's when everything just spiraled out of control.
The judge had a petition for our parents to sign stating we wouldn't demonstrate until we were 21 years old. And we said,
no, don't sign.
We was 2 days in that jail. Then it was a week.
Then it was 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
4 weeks.
So many weeks being locked up in isolation for so long.
And then to our reform schools.
We were 77 days in the county jail. We were 52 days at that school.
Joanne and I we saw Mama's pain when they came up to that school and they saw our bloody knees.
We had to wax and buff the floors until you could see your face in them. And if they weren't right, you had to do it all over again.
Dr. Halen made us feel like we were doing something right. He sent for us when Dr. King came down to St. Augustine. Reverend Abernathy was sitting in the corner, and Dr. King was kind of sitting, kind of leaning, with his hat kicked to the side, sitting on a little plastic red couch.
When we walked in, Dr. King stood up and said, "Oh, I know all about you young people. Job well done. I am so proud of you."
Now what we need is a biracial committee to give the chance to black citizens to air their grievances before a formal city board.
The NAACP removed you from your position with the local chapter. Why?
Well, the city, or the powers that be, felt that I had inflamed the atmosphere of the community by saying that I would shoot first and ask questions later.
But statements like that only work against us. Local white leaders blame you for the violence, and your organization in turn judge you guilty by association.
But it was my home that was shot up in the middle of the night, killing my dog and almost killing my pregnant wife. And it was me and a few other good men that was captured by the Klan during one of their mass rallies and beaten mercilessly and stacked up like firewood on the stage where we waited to be burned alive.
While your anger is warranted, only through the use of nonviolence will the indignation of this entire nation be stirred up on our behalf.
There will be neither peace nor tranquility until the righteous demands of the Negro are fully met.
It is now we must practice restraint. The eyes of the nation are on St. Augustine.
Until we decided that we wanted to integrate and go sit at that counter, we thought that everybody loved one another, that everybody just got along. No. That's when they really went completely crazy.
Martin and I decided to take on the burden of the campaign ourselves by seeking arrest. It was certainly easy enough in St. Augustine. We planned to go over to the Monson Motor Lodge, stroll into the dining room, and ask to be served.
Well, that evening, I was with everyone at the church. I had my purse, and I was dressed, boy, I tell you. And then, I had no intention of going back to jail, but Dr. King turns to me and says, "I want my little hero to go with me in my group." And you can't say no to Dr. King.
Ma'am.
So we all went down to the lodge. Dr. King said, "We'd like to enter and be served."
And James Brock, the owner of the lodge, he said, "Why do y'all keep bothering me? Didn't I tell you I wasn't going to serve you?"
Oh, then he called the police, and all the cars were pulling up, and they threw poor Dr. King in the car with the dog. And that dog loved Dr. King so much he kissed him.
Soon after things came to a head, we invaded an all-white swimming pool at the Monson Lodge. A swimming, you might say. And James Brock poured 2 gallons of muriatic acid into the swimming pool to burn the protesters.
They were horrible. They wanted to kill up all of us.
Soon after, we got word that the governor was forming a biracial committee to restore interracial communication, but denounced us as outside agitators and asked that we leave the community as if the problem were the demonstrations and not the injustices that provoked the demonstrations.
We just didn't want to sit in the back anymore. We wanted to go through the front door just like everybody else. We wanted to sit at the counter and not have to go up to the window. You want to sit in the front of the bus and not the back.
Right.
And Dr. Halen just really encouraged us in that way. We knew that we could deserve anything, that we and everybody deserve the Constitution.
I just feel that I don't have to bow or take second place anymore. Stand up for your rights and do not offend or belittle the next person.
They give you a little, and then they snatch it right back. I believe the civil rights movement and the part we all played made a huge difference to a certain extent. But at the same time, we lost a lot of our history. And that's the hurting part of it all.
I can say with certainty, we learned to be more cautious and less trusting for our confrontations in St. Augustine. These lessons applied in Selma and everywhere else and were valuable in preparing us for a more violent future.
God created me brown, and you a different color. It doesn't require for you to have things that I can't have. And we are all here, and we all deserve the same things.
I love that Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy advocated for peaceful protests.
Today we have Kaepernick taking a knee. But do peaceful protests really work?
Who's Kaepernick?
Where you been?
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
We need to rebrand.
Imagine if 60 million black folk get woke to their history and start pulling together. Ain't nothing could stop us.
Did you know we have a state statute that says black history should be taught in every county in the state? Only 3 counties abide by that statute.
In Florida.
In Florida.
Wow.
The history is so rich and it has so much depth to it, it's like no one even knows about it. Did y'all know about Frank Butler or any of these stories?
Wait, aren't y'all from Florida?
Yep. The Sunshine State. Black history, when it is taught, is usually the worst of black history. Students are taught how we were kidnapped,
enslaved,
lynched,
and oppressed.
Some reminder that we've struggled for every century we've been in this country. We know! Enough already. And you know, there's never an explanation of why.
Because then they would have to teach the children why it's still happening.
Yes, Lord.
Why are our black men still being kidnapped, enslaved, and lynched by the hands of the law? Why are these the same hands of the law that's supposed to protect and serve us? Why are these the same hands of the law that strike down the gavel sound, sentencing us to the slammer, to slam our dreams, to sentence generations to struggle, and to smash the striving of our people, and to smuggle them back into slavery? You see, then they would have to teach the children why prison is the slavery substitute. Why they out here making criminals for profits?
Amen.
Why is criminalizing black folks still filling their pockets? I say still filling their pockets. Let us turn now, if you will, to the United States Constitution. Amendment 13, 18, and 65. And the law said, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. I said, except as punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within these United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. I don't think y'all heard me. You see, the same law that made slavery illegal made it legal again. I said the same law that made slavery illegal made it legal again. Ooh, Lordy, ooh, Lordy. They say, if you do the crime, you got to do the time. But it's more like, let's create some crimes so they can do some time. If you can't keep them enslaved, we'll keep them all in a cage. Pump their neighborhood full of drugs. Call them all thugs. Make sure they live in poverty. More likely to commit robbery. I said kill some, kill some, and then arrest the protester. And we'll show up with our batons and our guns and our vests. Ooh, Lordy, I said pit one against another. Pit one against another and make sure they separate. And I'll be damned if we gonna reparate. Ooh, Lordy, have mercy, somebody. Yes. Come on. Well. You know, they say if you're convicted of a crime that they say you committed, you will be made a slave again. The truth of slavery, the abolition, and the reinstitution. May the grace and favor of a good lawyer abide with you now, henceforth, and forevermore. And the church say, amen. 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 I get my strength from knowing that my people were in bondage, knowing what they accomplished in spite of, surviving what most couldn't have survived. That's power to me.
Well, back in 36, this is 1936, oh, it was very rough. We was treated very cruel, working for very low wages, 75 cents a day. That happened a lot in Gadsden County, but I know about this particular place because I was living on it. The man sometimes would whip men, I would say, as far as I know, without cause. He didn't own the land, but he was the overseer of the plantation. And it wasn't just that he didn't like me. Some things went on in that place, and, well, he whipped a man mighty bad. My personal friend. Oh, he whipped him. He gave him a whipping with an actual whip. Yeah. They carried him on down to the whipping grounds, a place they call Campbell Field. That's where they took people that worked on the plantation and hey, take him out and dress him up. That's what they call it, dressing you up, keep you in your place. But the overseer come to me one day and he said, "Where is your friend?" I said, "You know where he at. You ought to send a doctor down there. That man can't work in his condition." So the overseer did send a doctor down there, and my friend, oh, he got up. He got up before he could work again, and he run away, never to be seen again. Yeah. Well, once he left, the overseer come to me and said it might be me next time. You see, I come to talking about things I didn't like, and it got back to the man by some means. So he come to me, questioned me, and, well, he told me he's gonna whip me like a horse. You see a horse, you whip a horse, horse don't hit back. I looked him straight in the eye and I said, "No, you ain't. Oh, you whip me and people die." So then I knew I had to leave. Now, the night after I moved my furniture over, I had to go over to my home in order to get the cow. I walked that cow as many as 9 miles. I wasn't worried that the overseer might find me. I wasn't trying to hide. I had my pistol with me that night. But he never showed up after what we talked about in the factory that day in the office. He never come to where I was no more. I went to him. I told him I'm moving myself and my family. I told him, you try and stop me and one of us is going down. Oh, my mind was made up. Die or go. Now, that was my motto. That was my motto, and I left. Funny enough, after all that, I and Overseer got to talking after he lost his job. Me and him sat down one morning. Oh, this was years after. I guess about 20 years. About 12 years. Oh, 12 years later. And he told me, he said, you know, I wanted to whip you then, but you wouldn't take a whipping. I said, no, I wouldn't take a whipping. Oh. That cracker bastard.
I was talking to this Palestinian the other day, and he told me that oppressed people all over the world look at Black Americans as a blueprint to liberation.
And they sing We Shall Overcome.
That's the reason why the images of Black Americans are so distorted the way they are. Just think about the hip-hop images and the mass media today compared to back then. See, the whole world was looking at the 60s and the revolution.
We're still waiting on the revolution.
You know what? We need a more 360-degree view of Black history. Black history is just as American and important in U.S. history as the rest of it.
Did y'all know that the first woman to charter a bank in the United States, Maggie Lena Walker, was a Black woman?
That's not Madam C.J. Walker, is it?
No. She was a pioneer in the beauty industry.
Yeah, hers was the first product to use a Black woman herself as the before and after of what the product could do.
Because others used white women as the after.
Well, yeah, because, of course, every Black woman's dream is to become a white woman.
Walker was determined to offer gainful employment to Black women, beauty culturalists, who in the early 1900s likely would have been working as domestics, like she was before she started her company.
Yep, and even though she wasn't the first woman to charter a bank, she had the money to do it. She was the first Black female millionaire in the United States.
Hey, look, I got a question. When you think about the civil rights movement, who do you think of?
Oh, easy. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. You were on the front line.
No, really. You know women had a huge role in the civil rights movement, right? They did. Right here in North Central Florida.
Huh.
One night, I got up to go to the bathroom. It must have been after midnight. And I saw this light. So I came on out to the foyer, and there was a state trooper's car parked right behind Dr. Halen's office. So I looked across the street, and there was another one parked between the church and the parsonage. So I said to my friend May, that she lived in the house next door, I said, May, you know the cops is parked in your driveway. And she said,
Ladybug.
She always called me Ladybug.
They've been doing that ever since Dr. King left. Yes, one morning, here come those troopers, and they said they come to see about you.
What you mean come and see about me?
They said they'll be parked in front of your house if it takes the next 6 months.
But why?
Well, 'cause of the movement.
And that's when I really got afraid.
I remember before we got Dr. King to come to St. Augustine, I took my 4 children and I went to Boynton Beach to my parents' house because I was afraid. You see, one day when I came home from work, this lady from across the street who worked for this white family came over and said,
Mrs. Wright, I gotta tell you something. I was working this party last night, and I heard them say, we gonna get rid of that nigger preacher Thomas Wright. You need to warn your husband.
I wanted to be a physical therapist or do something in the medical field. But when I got to Virginia Union College, I met Frank Pinkston. He was a senior and a very good football player. I would go to the games with my friends and I would see him, around campus. And I don't know, one thing led to another and we fell in love. We were married in December 1958. When Frank received his bachelor's, he enrolled in theological seminary at Union. And instead of a physical therapist, I became Mrs. Frank Pinkston. And of course, not long after that, babies came. And that was the end of my protesting.
Eventually, it got so dangerous, we had to flee St. Augustine, and we moved to Gainesville. Thomas was preaching at Mount Carmel Baptist Church. We lived in the parsonage. They would call and curse us. Sometimes they would just call and breathe heavy, not say a word, just breathe heavy. One day they called and said they're going to put a bomb under our house and the church. We had to evacuate. They brought in this team that knew about bombs, and they went over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and they didn't find any evidence of any bombs. But that made us restless for 3 or 4 months. I had trouble sleeping. My children didn't feel safe.
Back in the day, Mr. Dr. Martin Luther King used to stay with me. And he was not the type that would come in and demand this or that. Whatever you fixed for him, he was grateful. I would come home at night, I would do steak. I would do T-bone steaks. I would do mashed potatoes or tossed salad rolls. For me, this kind of thing would be too heavy that time of night. One morning I was getting ready to leave and I said, "Doc, what would you like for me to leave for you?" And he said, "Don't you worry about me eating. All I want you to do is leave me some tea. You make the best iced tea and I love it."
Frank was destined to be someone great. He had the ability to just pull people in. That's why I wasn't surprised at how big he got when we moved to Ocala. He emerged as the area's civil rights movement's leader in 1963. The thing that surprised me was that it was the women who were the most outspoken and supported the movement. It was like, we can do this. It's not going to be easy, but we can do this.
King was an amazing person. He really was. He always meditated before he talked to anybody. He meditated. They would come up to that door and they'd say, "Doc, Mr. So-and-so here to see you." He'd say, "Okay." And he'd sit there. And when his head would come up, that person would walk through that door. It was amazing. And they used to all come out to my house. Yeah, he met everybody at my house. That was his headquarters at the time, and you could find him there day and night. He'd have about 10 reporters on the phone. Yeah, and that was in my kitchen. I don't know what he'd be saying to them. His voice was just that soft. We would sit on the porch. We would sit on the steps, and the Klan would ride by every day. Every day we'd sit there, and the Klan rode by, and we just watched and waved. They ain't never done anything. Just wanted us to know they knew he was there. And yet, I wasn't ever afraid. I only got afraid after he left.
I told him many times, for the safety of the children, that he needed to stop this and turn it over to someone younger. I wanted my children to have a chance at life. That didn't matter. he continued in the movement. It was difficult at times. He was gone most of the time, and every time that phone would ring, I would jump, wondering if someone's calling to say that he had been hurt. I'm just so thankful we all made it.
This is your lead correspondent, Deanna Charles, exposing racist public policies in a city near you. Back to you, Tian.
3, 2, 1, action!
And we're back. Hi, I'm Tian Perkins.
And I'm LaShondra Johnson.
Stress, trauma, fear, anxiety, depression. So just how deeply are we affected by stress?
It's been said that we're all living with some form of PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. But mental health theorists have put a spin on the acronym and are calling it post-traumatic slave disorder. According to new research in the field of epigenetics, stress may be affecting you more than you know. Today's guest, Earl H. Goins, our geneticist, is here to talk about how stress may alter your gene expression and be passed to your offspring. Thanks for joining us today, Earl.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So what is epigenetics?
Okay, so think of your life as a really long movie. Your cells are the actors and actresses, essential units that make up the movie. DNA then would be the script. And genetics would be like screenwriting. And epigenetics is like directing. The script can be the same, but the director can choose to cut or tweak certain scenes or dialogue, altering the movie for better or worse. Make sense?
Yes, I think so. So is this how environmental changes such as stress or fear can change your health outcomes? They literally redirect your life movie?
Yes, that's right. Epigenetic changes are linked to cancers and other health disorders. Let's break it down. When something traumatic happens to you, epigenetics enable expressions of long-term memory-promoting genes. So your cells actually change, and those changes live within the cells long after the event is over. And those changes are linked to behaviors that drive PTSD. And because these changes happen on a cellular level, your children are also likely to be fearful of and stressed out by the things that cause stress within the parents.
Okay, Earl, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Is there any validity to these post-traumatic slave disorder claims?
I think it's fair to say that both black and white people are living with generational trauma. Irrational fear of black people has likely also been passed down. I'm a geneticist, and I want to stay within my lane. But I think it's fair to say that epigenetics has exacerbated the race problem in the United States over the past years.
Wow. James Baldwin did say that to be black and conscious in America is to be in a constant state of rage. Who would have thought it could be genetic? We have got to become aware of this cycle.
Absolutely, that's right, Tien. The stress is quite literally killing the black body at a higher rate than the white body. On top of that, research is looking at how we deal with the stress other than the stressors themselves. We need to increase access to resources in order to help resolve them.
Tell the truth.
And shame the devil.
And I would love to be one of the actresses in your life movie.
We're out of time.
Thank you for joining us today, Earl. Check out Earl's new book, In the Nucleus of Hate, The DNA of Racism. I'm LaShondra Johnson.
And I'm Tian Perkins. Back to you, Deanna.
Thank you, ladies. This is BLM News Network, ensuring your knowledge base is wealthy so black families stay informed and healthy.
3, 2, 1, cut!
Audio Jungle.
Man, I didn't know there were any black women making money moves like Maggie Lena Walker and Madam C.J. Walker.
Ooh, I just thought about it. Another woman just made history. Cardi B is the first solo female artist to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album of the Year.
I can rap too.
Oh, really?
Rap the
Yeah,
listen.
listen. All right, I need my hype ladies. Yo, yo, yo. You can't mess with them if you wanted to. They had businesses and banks, yeah, they made money moves. Madam CJ gave them training, she told them what to do. Made the money, got the checks, then Maggie cashed them too. Hey!
Yo, money is the root of all of our issues. The differences, the problems, oppression, repression, regression, all of that.
Get down off that table.
Yeah, get your behind down.
I disagree. Poverty is the root, not money. Money is the key to freedom from all that. Generationally, African Americans have had plenty of barriers keeping them from making money and accumulating wealth. So black people have also had a huge disadvantage when it comes to understanding money. Things like how to invest it, make it work for you and grow just aren't common knowledge in the black community. People learn about money from their parents, who learned about it from their parents. But that can't be an excuse anymore because even though an education costs money, learning is free. And we can learn how to accumulate wealth. Anything you want to know is on the internet.
We need to reestablish what our value is as Americans, as African Americans, Black Americans, whatever.
What brands us is our art.
Our art brands us?
Yeah. You see, an artist creates something organic that testifies for the community.
Because the precedent stands that the oppressed will always begin to create art that speaks directly to that oppression.
That's right. Huh? But see, what happens is this powerful art form is sought out. However, it's not sought out to be destroyed, but rather it's sought out to be fixed in a different form and then given back to the community from which it originated. And now this new art form, it looks kind of like your art.
It sounds kind of like your music.
It kind of has a funky beat like it.
Right, but it no longer testifies for you. Now this new thing that they created in a lab somewhere testifies against you. Just think about every commercial hip-hop song you hear on the radio. It glorifies degrading women, selling drugs or narcotics, excess materialism, bling, just plain old foolishness, nothing of any real substance.
Yeah, they basically won't produce a record if it doesn't have enough certain key words.
Right. Can you say nigga just once?
They are intentionally producing a particular image of blackness for the public to consume.
Right, and that is how the black community is branded. Through marketing.
Through social media.
Through corporate hip-hop.
Through reality TV.
Love and hip-hop.
Oh, but it was funny when Stevie J...
Shut up, Darius!
Somebody told me if you want to change someone's culture, you start by changing the music.
See, the rebrand starts there for me, with the music. We consume this stuff. We buy these products, it's everywhere. Everyone listens to hip-hop. Hip-hop is global.
Black culture is global. It's appropriated, packaged, and sold everywhere. So how can we rebrand the black community if what you're saying about the music is true?
Well, basically, we have to own the corporate mechanisms that market these distorted images.
For white supremacy to flourish, exist, or move, you have to create this idea of a black boogeyman or monster. So in these images you see, especially if you look in the news, when a young black man
or an adult black man
or black woman
gets killed by the police for whatever reason,
shot,
unarmed, shot with their hands up,
unarmed, strangled or hung in police custody,
unarmed, shot or hung from a tree in their own homes.
Unarmed. The first thing the media is going to do is try to find something from their past to justify their murder or make them seem less than.
He used to do or sell drugs. Oh, Trayvon Martin, he was kicked out of school.
Monster. Tamir Rice, a little boy shot down in the park.
He was what, like 12?
He looked older than that.
Whatever that means.
He was big for his age. Boogeyman.
The news even reports shootings differently depending on the race of the suspect. So white people get to be individuals in their crimes, whereas black people, in general, get criminalized for the crime of one person.
Even though it's nowhere near funny, let's play a game. I'll give you a description and you tell me who you associated with. Y'all jump in too.
Okay.
Thug.
Black.
Troubled home.
White.
Deadbeat.
Black.
Family man.
White.
Super predator.
Black.
Mentally ill.
White. Drug related.
Black.
Bright future.
White.
Did well in school.
White.
Hero.
White.
Gangster.
Black.
Comes from a good home.
White.
Troubled youth.
White.
Career criminal.
Black. Dangerous. Violent. Thug. Criminal. Gang member.
Black.
dangerous, violent, thug, criminal.
Drug dealer.
Black, dangerous, violent, thug, criminal. Dangerous, violent, thug, criminal. Dangerous, criminal, violent, criminal, 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 black. Now, this was my yearbook and diploma when I went to Lincoln. We were the Fighting Terriers.
That's right.
The Terriers.
Yes, that's what we was.
Terriers are known for their fearlessness and tenacity.
And that's what we were. Well, we had to be.
Okay, you were fearless on the field. I heard everybody wanted to play y'all in football.
Oh yeah. Across the state, we were very envied the schools. Everybody wanted to beat Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
You know, competition was always strong to play Lincoln High School out of Gainesville.
You know, it was always because they wanted to see our band.
Watch out now.
Oh yes.
If the crowd was, let's say, in an uproar, something like that, the minute Lincoln hit the field,
Yes, sir.
it got attention.
Yes, sir.
They said it was a whole show from start to finish.
Oh, yes, it
From
was.
start to finish.
Yes, but you're right. Terriers were fearless and feared. There was Howard in Ocala, they feared us. Lincoln Academy in Palatka, they feared us. Orlando.
Mabang in Alachua.
All those high schools, Tallahassee, all those schools feared us because we were so great during that time. And when we played, we went to Palatka and Orlando, we had to beat them twice. Had to beat them once on the field and had to beat them again off the field trying to get your vehicle to come home. Because when they lose, they want to fight.
Oh, yeah, and it was always crazy. Every day. You know, I remember when we just walking to school, we had to pass Buchholz from our neighborhood on our way to Lincoln. And the Buchholz children, they rode the bus there. And when that bus passed us, they spat on us while we were walking to school.
That is so horrible.
No, it wasn't. Because when we got to Lincoln, we were home. You see, the people there, they taught us we had to be better than them.
You see, we were not taught at Lincoln, we were educated.
That's right.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, see, the difference is when you're taught, it's between the covers of the book.
That's right.
But when you're educated, it's between the covers of the book and outside the book too. You get what I mean?
See, when I started teaching at Lincoln, I wanted to try to change things in the teaching situation.
That's good.
The textbook that I had to teach from was a textbook that students in Gainesville High School had used. When they got new books, the old books would be handed down to us to teach from.
We were always using their hand-me-down books. Sometimes people strategically would rip out the pages. Sometimes the books were written in.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes there would be messages in those books. Messages directed to you, directed to us.
That's right.
One time I opened my book and I saw, to the nigger that gets this book, I hope you have the intelligence to comprehend what's in this book.
Oh, my goodness.
Because they knew that the books would be handed down to us.
And I had to teach government and history of this country from those books. And the thing about the textbook, what was in that book was not reality. Not the reality of what was really happening. They didn't even mention people like Frederick Douglass.
No.
No, they didn't mention the blacks. Not the black people that mattered. The black people that changed history.
That wouldn't even be in the textbook.
So my students that I was teaching knew nothing about them people. So what I had to do, none of that was in the textbook because the textbook wasn't written to teach them about that.
Of course not.
So what I had to do, I had to write a new lesson plan. I had to give it to the white supervisor over social studies to approve what I was going to teach. I had to teach my students what this was really about. And that was that the slave, the Negro, blacks, whatever you want to call them at the time, were an integral part of the westward movement of the South.
That's right.
We had to talk about presidents like Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Abe Lincoln and George Washington. We didn't talk about George Washington Caldwell, Booker T. Washington.
I had to insert that in there. Now,
That's right.
when the Civil Rights Movement came about, I was teaching at the time. Now in the textbook, they had what they call pressure groups. Now the pressure groups, that was the labor unions. They ain't talk about the other pressure groups who eventually pressured people into changing laws on their behalf, like a SNCC or CORE or NAACP. They ain't talk about those pressure groups.
Of course not.
Now one day, I was teaching about them other pressure groups. And the supervisor of the school came into my classroom, and I had it written up on the board. Do you know, she went back to the superintendent and said that I was teaching subversive activities.
You were just teaching the facts.
And it was a fact. I said, don't tell me how to teach. I said, I'm teaching students, so I'm teaching the facts. I told them point blank, nobody sitting around me in this room got more knowledge of history, government, or anything else I was teaching.
That's right.
No, you didn't.
You said that.
Look, I said it to their face. I thought I was gonna be fired. But instead of getting rid of me, they just moved me up to the front office.
Yeah, see, they made him the dean, just so that he wouldn't be directly involved with teaching the students. But you see, that's just how much our teachers cared.
Right, the teaching never stopped.
Yeah.
Educating never stopped.
That's right.
Every day there was something to remind you that you had to be better than the next person because of how you looked and who you were.
Right. And you know, the one thing, when I went to Lincoln, it wasn't integrated.
It was segregated.
That's right.
Yeah. And you know, you might think, oh, you know, that's not a good thing, but believe me, it was. You know,
What she's saying is that Lincoln is a hub. It was the center of the black community. Virtually everything took place at Lincoln.
So the pride was there. People say Lincoln was where things happened.
Exactly.
So when you start to talk about things that happened before integration, we begin to lose a lot of our identity. We begin to lose a lot of the identity that got us to that point.
That's it.
And what worries me about our history is, if our history is not valued, we could very easily lose all the ground we gained.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, so you didn't like integration?
Well, you see, integration is not what the blacks asked for. We asked for separate but equal.
That's right.
For 10 years.
Just give us separate but equal.
That's it.
Give Lincoln the same books and whatnot you give them.
There was always a separate, but there was never an equal.
Ever.
We were absorbed.
Yes.
We weren't integrated. We were absorbed. Lincoln High School was top of the line as far as high schools go.
That's right.
In everything.
Everything.
But you know, and integration came and changed all of that.
Changed it all.
The closeness,
That's right.
the beautiful community that was created was lost.
Yes.
You felt that you had lost something?
Identity.
The value of history.
You know, just so many things, like respect for one another, family.
We just lost so much in our time. I know time doesn't stand still and you got to move forward and progress, yeah, but we just lost at the very core the fiber of what made us strong when we began to integrate schools.
When I think back on Lincoln, sometimes even now, I'll shed some tears. Cause I just love being there. I'm a terrier. I am a terrier. I will never forget the spirit of the terrier.
Man, I never thought about the negative effects of integration before.
I think I was in the second grade when integration took place here in Alachua County. I remember they just stopped everything right in the middle of the school year. They didn't even finish the school year out. Just stop, now, integrate.
Amazing how the Lincoln community was all about education and support.
Yeah, they basically kicked white butt in the classroom. They had to prove that they were as smart as them or smarter. You see, we come from people who couldn't read. we were prevented from reading. Reading was outlawed. Black folks were killed for reading. And then suddenly, we could read. We wanted to read everything we could get our hands on. And it was expected that if you represented this family, you would excel inside the classroom.
Hey, integration and inclusion are not synonymous. If the education of a child is left in the hands of those who don't even want them there, of course the kids are going to get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, and an education system that excludes black children becomes a workforce that excludes black adults. And a workforce that excludes black adults turns into a group of people with underwhelming amounts of wealth trying to raise families without access to good health care.
Yeah, and those families will in turn live in poor neighborhoods. And the property taxes of those neighborhoods are what primarily funds the public schools in that area. So the school's resources are then limited, resulting in an education that's inadequate compared to students in wealthier neighborhoods.
And then those students have even less of a chance to compete for and land spots in the top universities. And we all know that universities only want
the best and the brightest.
Yep, and just like that, if they can't get into college, more will join the workforce straight out of high school and become a part of a vicious cycle of exclusion that no longer says that race is the reason that segregation and inequality exists. It gets to be masked behind class and economics.
You know, it's almost impossible to conceive, to quantify, to track all the different ways in which unequal education can affect people.
Oh my God, that reminds me. So, my sister is a nurse, and she mentioned that when a patient or one of their family members is in the medical field, the doctors and nurses that brief her tell her to be on top of her stuff. Not that she isn't usually, it's just that these patients tend to ask more informed questions, and their family members know more about the procedure and treatment options available to them. And I get it, the hospital wants to protect its reputation when it has a healthcare professional in their care, right? But think about this. If an unequal educational system leads to an unequal college acceptance, then it's a no-brainer that we're going to have less African-American doctors and nurses, and that tip-top treatment that patients are receiving due to their affiliations with the healthcare world aren't going to be extended to black patients as readily.
Wow. It's true. I just read an article that said that black men have the shortest life expectancy over any other group in America. It also said that babies born to black mothers with a high school diploma are twice as likely to die than those born to white mothers with less than an 8th grade education.
The healthcare field didn't just start failing us. Black lives have never mattered when it came to advancements in modern medicine. In the 1840s, the father of modern gynecology, Dr. James Marion Sims, he used black women's bodies to practice surgeries on their bladders and vaginas without anesthesia. Yeah, they erected a statue of him in Central Park to honor him. After much protest, they relocated it somewhere else, but it's still a slap in the face.
But we need to move forward and educate folks that there are safeguards in place to protect us from medical mistreatment. Telling these stories without knowing what has changed in the system only throws up more barriers for us to get care.
I feel like every other group has made major progress in removing barriers, but black people just keep getting pushed 3 steps back. We've been fighting for equality for years now.
Conscious and unconscious bias is still keeping us under the thumb of oppression.
Yeah, but think about all the black men and women who have the misfortune of running into problems with the law.
Stan, I can't even go there today. I'm exhausted.
I know, but think about them. Think about them. How many young black men and women are leaving prison diagnosed with depression and other mental illnesses?
How many black folks who haven't even been locked up are living with mental illnesses and don't even know it, or just have limited access to health care?
We need to be diligent about supporting each other like they were at Lincoln.
Being pro-black doesn't mean that you hate other people. It just means that you take care of home. And would you care if someone came into your house and said, "Oh no, this place is way too neat. It's too well put together in here. It's too organized"? Nah, you would say leave your home like you want to. But I choose to take care of me and mine. It's time for us to get our house in order so our phoenix can rise. They have called us colored,
Negro,
mulatto,
African American,
black. But no matter what they call us, we are and always have been
beautiful,
diverse,
resilient,
powerful,
worthy,